MLS Matchday 7 is right around the corner, and we're here to bring you some of the best bets we came up with over the course of the week. We are the Designated Pundits, and thank you guys for checking in. We are live. I'm Bob here with Scott and Dion. We have some great Major League Soccer picks for you. First of all, gentlemen, how are we doing today?
We're up, man.
Don't get over here.
Scott is recording halfway around the world on a business in Italy, so I got my team jersey on to support him staying up on that long flight, long hours there. But I saw his picks, and his picks were of clear mind. So let's get into what we saw from last week. Mixed bag here, had the show at plus 0.5 units. I had my sixth straight week in the positive, and our show had our sixth straight week in the positive. That is like unprecedented territory here, gentlemen. You see my bets 4-2 plus 1.91 units. Overall 7-7 on 14 units with plus 0.5. Those plus money plays paying out all season long have kept our heads above water. 54-48 on 102 wagers so far this season. That is plus 14.31 units. For those of you watching along, you can see the graphics we pull up. If not, if you're listening on your favorite audio podcast, or maybe you're watching on Spotify for the first time, make sure you subscribe to the Designated Pundits. You're not going to find these kind of results anywhere else on the web in any other sport. I know because I've looked. Let's get right into the plays, gentlemen. Any thoughts before we move forward? We have an Angus McWhorter saying, hello, everyone. Quick switch around for Dion. I guess Dion was hitting the pod circuit this week.
Yeah, I was live right before this on my channel. So back to back for me.
Back to back.
Awesome. And Dion does some great predictions, but here we kind of focus a little more on the sports betting. So let's kind of look at it through that frame here. MLS Week 7 starts with a rivalry matchup of two relatively new Southeastern opponents, Charlotte FC and Nashville FC. This game's going to be 2:30. This is the primetime match at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. It's going to draw plenty of fans, going to draw a lot of eyes. It's primetime, a lot of good things going on here. Lock in a tough home field advantage for Charlotte, who are already boasting an impressive 3-0 home start. Here we have Charlotte minus 105, Nashville plus 260, and the draw plus 250. Goal totals are basically irrelevant. We know that the over under 2.5, minus 112 to the over, minus 108 to the under. That number 2 to 3 is on the button. That's what those odds are telling us right here. Before I ruin our picks for everyone, let's go around the horn and discuss it. Me, Scott, Alex, and Dion all have official plays. Scott, let's go to you first.
Well, I have a pretty strong lean on this for Charlotte. I really like their defense. I think we all do. I think the offense is coming along. And the offense is coming along, and Wilfred Zaha has not even had to be especially good for them to score goals. So I have a Charlotte to win pick, but I'm adding a little something to it because the Charlotte to win pick is like minus 105. I just like those to be positive numbers. So I added an under to it. It's under 3.5 goals. That to me is not an especially difficult hurdle to clear. Under 3.5 goals. 4 out of the last 5 games for both of these teams actually hit that under. And so, I don't see this being very difficult. The only games that didn't hit this under, there was one Charlotte game against San Jose that would have hit the under had Andrew Privet not given away a last-second penalty.
And I'm going to take that away from you right there because last week Charlotte was without Privet. They gave up 2 goals for the first time this season. In all 5 of their games. I consider this weekend's matchup a prime chance to restore form for Charlotte. Not only does Charlotte have a huge home field advantage, they're playing a mostly unchallenged Nashville SC. They did have a great match against Philadelphia, but otherwise they've beaten Montreal and Portland, lost to Red Bull Cincinnati. They drew New England, which no one wants to do. So you know what I'm doing. Let's finish up with Dion.
Yeah, on this one, I like your under, but also I don't like it, Scott, because Charlotte's almost averaging 3 goals at home, and I think that Charlotte will also score, even though Charlotte only gives up 0.33 there at home. I think that Nashville will get on the board, so I could see this game being like a 3-1. I don't know why. So I was very weary about the under 3.5. That's a lot of goals, I know, but I just went with the Charlotte, the negative 105. I think Charlotte is going to continue their winning there at home. Already 3-0. I think that they get back into form coming off the loss last week.
Charlotte minus 105 is my official play, Alex's official play, and Dion's official play. Scott's going to get some better odds. He's going to add 50 points with an under 3.5 total. I do like that total. I think that Charlotte's defense is going to reign supreme here. I could see Nashville being shut out completely. And, a 2-0 win for Charlotte would, of course, pass all three of our bets here. Let's move it right along. Next matchup is Atlanta hosting FC Dallas. When last we saw them, Atlanta United turned a match around in NYCFC. They went down 3-1 before scoring 3 unanswered and taking a home win. And FC Dallas also got a 2-1 result when they hosted Sporting KC. They're kicking, the kicking bag of the West. They're on a 2-game win streak headed into this weekend, and I think that this match is going to be pretty good. Two teams don't play each other too much. We know now that the Atlanta jinx is Dion. So before we blink this play, Dion, will you be watching this live?
I want to, because it's my team. But yeah, the last 2 matches for Atlanta, each time that I've watched it, we have went down. As soon as I turn it off, we come back, either to get the draw or get the win. So I want to watch it, but I might be the jinx. So I might just have to keep tabs on the score there.
Atlanta United minus 150, FC Dallas at plus 360, and the draw sitting at plus 300. Over under 2.5 goals, minus 174 to the over. So the bettors are liking goals to be scored in this matchup. By who? Well, Atlanta United over under 1.5 goals is at minus 180 to the over. That gives us our answer here. One official play, and that's going to be Scott.
Yeah, I realize that both of these teams have been a little bit impossible to predict. They have both been all over the board with their results. Dallas's offense started really hot, cooled off a little bit. Atlanta has had hot and cold days. But looking at these teams, this strikes me as a game that should have goals in it. This Atlanta team is capable of scoring. They're also very, very capable of giving up goals. Same with that Dallas team. Very capable of scoring, very capable of giving up goals, especially late goals. So for me, I'm taking an over. Just a straight up over bet. It's over 3.5. That's a little bit higher than I would usually like, but I think these teams are very, very easily capable of covering that.
Yeah, Atlanta's absolutely exploded for goals, but they've been conceding a ton. I remember a few weeks ago we had Caleb Ewing on here, really, really good kid from Atlanta, and he talked about his team. And I said that this team was worried about scoring goals and not defending. I got walked on the next day on Atlanta FC Twitter, but since that time, they've conceded 7 goals in 3 matches. So I kind of do see the over here. If you are interested in betting Asian markets, I bet you can get plus 3.25 at a really good number, where half the bet's at over 3.5 and half the bet is a push at 3 goals. Might be a little less risky way to play that one. Of course, we don't do that here on the show. We play straight over-unders. All right, next matchup is going to be FC Cincinnati hosting the New England Revolution. FC Cincinnati are coming off a home win at Nashville. Revolution are coming off their first win of the season, a late second goal, putting them 2-1 over the New York Red Bulls, a penalty goal at that. However, these teams, we have expected them to have a very, very different 2025 season. Me and Dion both have some plays here. Let's check the odds first. FC Cincy minus 175 to win. Revs plus 440. Spoiler alert, that is not the longest odds team that we're going to talk about on the show. Draw sitting at 310. Official plays to me and Dion. Dion, take it away.
Yeah, so I didn't go with a winner in this one. I just went with under 2.5 at plus 115. I just don't see. I'm predicting that Cincinnati win this at home, and I think that they win 1-0. I just don't see a lot of goals happening in this one. And then also, I thought there was something else that I can't remember what it was. But yes, I think Cincinnati win this 1-0 maybe. I just see it being a low scoring match because both of these teams are not averaging a lot. Well, I mean, Revs haven't even scored their own goal yet. So
they scored 2 against my Red Bulls actually.
But yes, they did. I'm sorry.
They were, however, and I'll cut you off because I also have this bet. They were both off set pieces. They have 1 own goal, 1 penalty goal, and 1 set piece goal by Carlos Hill, who just bent it right in. I love that you are taking an under here because I think this is going to be a pretty low scoring game. Specifically, that New England Revolution will score less than a goal and a half, and that Cincy will score more than a goal and a half. I'm looking at a 2-1, 2-0 result here. And my official play is a little wacky. Cincy has 3 wins. They're 2-1-0 at home this season. They've scored 2 or 3 times this season. They've scored 2 or more 3 times this season, so they are putting the ball in the back of the net, and they haven't lost yet at home. They face a bad Revs team who've only scored 2 times against my Red Bulls in that own goal. But it was a penalty and a set piece. We can't always recreate that. We can't lay on Carlos Hill's dead ball tactics every time. New England Revolution, as bad as they've been, their defense has actually been really good, which I bet what Dion was going to go and talk about next. I think Cincy wins. Minus 175 is unbettable. Dion, how did you make this play?
I really just looked at what they're both averaging and the way Cincinnati's playing defense. What I was actually getting at is we brought up last week how the Revs have the Red Bulls number at Gillette Stadium. Well, it's the same thing here. The Revs have Cincinnati's number there at TQL. Cincinnati have never won this game at TQL between these two teams. So I think that changes here, but it's low scoring. The defense for Cincinnati with as long as they can cover the set pieces.
And they could defend set pieces very well, although I bet they wish they had Matt Miazga still in service for this one. 2 official plays. I have Cincy over a goal and a half and Revs under a goal and a half. That's at minus 109. And Dion has under 2.5 goals at plus 115. And I do want to point out one thing. On our graphic, it says the over-under. The under was plus 122. Make sure you check different sports books. You get different odds at different places. And that 7%, that is what most great gamblers can put out, a 7%, in any particular season. You're getting that just by switching books. So make sure if you're playing this match, you get a really good number here. Sorry, my air conditioner's blowing into my mic. Let's move right ahead. The Philadelphia Union are hosting Orlando. Philly, 4 wins, 0 draws, and 2 losses on the season. Orlando, 3-1-2. This game's going to be 7:30 p.m. Eastern at Subaru Park. MLS Week 7, has what I would consider a really fun match here. And, I think that these are 2 very high-scoring teams. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Let's take a look at what the Sportsbook thinks. Philadelphia Union, plus 110. Orlando City, plus 200. And the draw is at plus 260. I think if there are odds are favorable, if you think Philly's going to win. If you think Orlando's going to win, that's a great number. If you think it's a draw, that's a really great number too. A lot of really, really fair prices here. Over under on 2.5 goals, minus 166 for over 2.5, and plus 136 for under. We have 3 official plays, myself, Scott, and Dion. Scott, why don't we go to you first and take this one away?
Well, like you said, these are 2 very high-scoring teams. That's really what I'm banking on. Both of these teams right now are averaging more than 2 goals scored per game. Orlando is also averaging 2 goals conceded per game. Philadelphia a little bit less than that. But I'm looking for that average to carry through, and I'm playing a straight over 3.5 goals. Again, that is a little bit more than I would usually like to play, but Philadelphia just approaches games so wide open, and Orlando, same thing. Orlando's averages on its own would cover this.
Yeah, I absolutely love that pick. That's why I have exactly the same, over 3.5. I'll finish up here. Let's go, Dion. Do you have anything to add here?
No, not really, other than I everything that Scott said, but also the last time that these two teams played at Subaru Park, it was a 5-goal match. So I think that it could potentially be that again in this match. But yes, I picked the same thing, and I liked everything that Scott said.
Yeah, that 4-2 match in February really got everything rolling on the right start, right? Philadelphia, decent home advantage. Orlando, they've been too unpredictable to wager for me, win or lose. And while I think Philly does have an advantage here, I don't think Philly's the world beaters they've been playing like. I think they've had a good couple teams in front of them. They've played a couple good results, but I don't think we should be looking at them to win each and every week. Orlando can score goals in bunches here. Let's take a look at the math. Through 6 matches, Philadelphia Union have seen 21 goals, and Orlando's seen 27 goals. That's an average of 4 goals per match. 3.5 is a huge number, but two teams that don't want to play defense. And remember, we were picking on Philadelphia all last season, too. This isn't new. And Orlando, kind of the same way. They live and die by just putting a lot of balls in the back of the net. This is going to be a really entertaining match. And that's why we have 3 official plays, all the same, over 3.5 goals at plus 150. That is a great show play, but let's get that. I want to see 2 goals in the first half to really, because we can turn away a 14.31 unit season so far with a couple of these team plays, go away real quick too. Let's head now to Sporting Kansas City. 0 wins, 1 draw, 5 losses. They have lost every match. They have not won yet. They haven't won one yet this season. And if you add the Champions Cup games that they lost, they're 0-1-7 on the season. I don't know how they even got into something called the Champions Cup, but we'll digress. They did have as good a season, I guess, 4 years ago. St. Louis City, they've been streaky this season, drawing 2 straight 0-0 matches to start the season, then winning twice while holding their opponents to 0 goals, and then losing 2 straight by 1-0 score lines. It's like 3 separate seasons for this team this year. They're defensive. They have some good pieces on offense, but haven't quite put a streak together. I'm sure they're happy to see Sporting Kansas City on their calendar this week. Sporting KC is at plus 110 as the home favorites. St. Louis City plus 220, and the draw is at plus 240. Over under 2.5 goals. Minus 126 to the over and plus 102 to the under. You got some team totals there for those of you following along at home. And for this, we have myself, Scott, Alex, and Dion, 4 official plays. Who would like to go first?
Bob, I will be shamelessly honest here. I came in after you with this pick and basically just said yes, cosign. So I don't want to steal your thunder on that.
Dion, will you steal my thunder?
Well, I went a little bit different than you two.
Yes.
I went with St. Louis double chance and the total under 2.5. The thing is, looking at the history of this matchup, St. Louis has not won there at Children's Mercy Park. But even though Sporting at home, they are allowing 2.3 goals a match, St. Louis hasn't shown me enough to score that many in a game, and I think that it's going to be the under. I don't think that I could see it being maybe a 2-0 victory, a 1-1 draw, but I don't see it happening where either one of these teams score, or not either team, the total goals over the 2.5.
I love that play.
1 goal game.
I just opened up the sports book and I'm like pulling game. I'm like St. Louis City in the draw and under 4.5 goals is minus 118. And there is no risk whatsoever in that bet. And I'm thinking if you guys are going to let me change my official bet, because what I wanted to talk about here was St. Louis City being the better team. They've been less predictable of late. Not scoring 2 is tough. It's tough to swallow, but they're facing Sporting KC, who've conceded 12 times, minus 6 goal differential this season. I want to protect against that draw. So I did it with a plus 125 draw no bet. And I'm going to keep my official play, but an alternate. You could do the St. Louis City double chance in under 4.5 goals, which is even a higher total, 2 goals higher than the total Dion gave us. He's getting at 176, which is going to be fantastic. I like when he takes those risks, so I don't have to, and we could put a little check mark next to it. But if you want to do that minus double chance in under 4.5, minus 118, that's like minus 120. That's a decent home favorite bet. And I'm not above taking 83 cents on a dollar here.
And I kind of like that bet a little bit more than mine, because also you got to think, I feel like teams also get a little bit of a boost whenever there's a coach firing, with Vermees being outed there at Sporting Kansas City. They usually get a boost. So it could be more than that, but I'm going to stick with it. I think that, like I said, I think that it could also be a 1-1 draw. I just don't see St. Louis hasn't shown me enough to score multiple. I know that they have, but I just don't see them scoring multiple goals here at a derby.
Then you know what? I'm going to protect against your bet, change mine. St. Louis double chance and under 4.5 goals, minus 118 official play. Scott is St. Louis draw no bet at plus 130, unless you want to make a live play here too.
Ooh, live. You know, I find that very convincing, actually. And I like that because it actually does pay out if the draw happens. I don't see this going to be a 5-goal game, despite Kansas City's high goal total. Like they're seeing like 3 goals a game right now or something. You're absolutely right. The Peter Verbees firing is the wrinkle in this matchup, but St. Louis City is playing such a controlled, brand of soccer right now. And I think they are better than their record suggests. They're like 2-2-2. But they are good sort of in most aspects of the game. They have a really good defense, good goalkeeping. They do have a good midfield, and they have an offense that is capable of scoring. They just haven't really been on it so far this season. But I think that's something we'll see them continue to improve on. But Dion, I think you're right. They just aren't going to put up big numbers in this game. They haven't really been there. I think the only game they've really offensively been very good in was a game against the Galaxy. So, yeah, you very much. I would be happily, change to that to the double chance and under 4.5.
So we are going to ignore what the next sheet says. 4 official plays: St. Louis draw in under 4.5 for myself and Scott at minus 118. Big money Dion with plus 176 on St. Louis double chance total under 2.5. And Alex's official play, which we didn't even get to talk about, under 2.5 goals, both teams to score no. He thinks someone is getting shut out in this match. He's also getting plus 175, which is really close to Dion's number on the under 2.5 goals there. Let's now move ahead, and we'll talk about San Diego FC hosting Seattle, the Sounders. San Diego City face another home test in Seattle this week. Last match, they beat LAFC 3-2 and finally rewarded the home fans who sat through the first 2 matches in club history and watched them go 0-0 and 1-1 into draws. Seattle usually starts slow, 2025 no exception. They have 1 win, 3 draws, and 2 losses so far in 2025. On the sportsbook, San Diego FC has plus 125. Seattle Sounders plus 210 in the draw at plus 220. Over under 2.5 goals is minus 128 to the over, minus 162 to the under, and Seattle over under 1.5 goals, plus 196 to the over, and minus 260 to the under. I think I might have flipped some numbers there, but everyone watching at home can follow along. One official play here, the only one I wanted to talk about this was Alex, and he has San Diego at plus 130 straight up to win, and I could tell you exactly what he is going to say. He's not here to say it for himself, but San Diego City is a better team. Seattle is struggling at the beginning. There's no reason to think that they're going to turn it around in one match, although they have the plausibility of doing that. You have Paul Arriola out, Jordan Morris out. Seattle Sounders offense hasn't been clicking. Pedro Del Vega isn't doing it. In fact, they've already signed some outside help. As for San Diego, Irving Lozano made his return and is getting closer to full match fitness. I think all of those things and more lead San Diego to be a home favorite. Sportsbook agrees, plus 125. That's going to be the official play here for Alex. We'll have to change that in the show doc. He's giving himself an extra 5 points again. Different sportsbooks and also different times of day when we're placing these bets leads to little discrepancies here in the card every once in a while. So we'll lock that in. San Diego FC. Anyone else have any thoughts on this match?
Ooh, it's going to be an interesting one because of Seattle's defense. They still remain decent, but they haven't been to their usual standards. And San Diego, they are going to have to be more savvy than they have been in the last few weeks. Certainly, 2 weeks ago they were especially unsavvy against Austin. But Seattle is a team that can take advantage of those little mistakes. And so San Diego will have to be on it if they really do want to get out with the win.
All right. Dion, any final thoughts?
No, I think Scott kind of hit it on the head. This one was hard for me because I think that this game could go either way. In my predictions, I know that it's not based on bets, but I actually, it was a gut prediction. I actually think Seattle might go on the road and win this just because of things like Scott said, they could capitalize on any little mistake that if San Diego makes anything. But I stayed away from this one. I didn't see anything that I really liked in this match.
Ingvartson's going to be out for San Diego, being replaced by Velikari, who had a pretty good match last week. Dreyer has just been a fantastic, fantastic winger. If Lozano can take some of that pressure off that side of the field and really spread things out, this offense could be really, really good. Della Torre has been fantastic this season. They have a nice little squad there in San Diego, much better than an expansion side maybe has any business being. Moving on now to Yankee Stadium. NYCFC 2-2-2, Minnesota 3-2-1. This Sunday at 3 o'clock, NYCFC will host them at Yankee Stadium. This is a rare matchup. Hasn't been played since 2023. There's a lot of Eastern Conference teams playing on the West Coast. This is the opposite, I guess, of the team from the Great White North coming to New York City. New York City is coming off a crazy 4-3 loss to Atlanta. Minnesota faced RSL and won predictably by a 2-0 scoreline. If we look at the odds here, NYCFC plus 110, Minnesota United plus 220. In the draw at plus 240, over under 2.5 goals, minus 126 to the over and plus 104 for the under here. I have an official play. This was actually so confident it was one of my article picks. You go over to Hooligan Soccer and check a look at that anytime you want. It should be out probably in a couple hours. Before I spoil everything, gentlemen, any thoughts on this match? A lean, any gossip, anything that you think is worth bringing?
I had to stay away from this one also because both teams, Minnesota in their last 5, they're unbeaten in their last 5. And there's nothing that makes me lean one way or the other. I know that you're very confident in your pick, but I couldn't go either way on this one.
This Minnesota team, they are doing a lot of good things, and we have watched them also turn wins into draws in a really interesting way. The RSL game aside, which was really down to also RSL being completely unable to offer anything offensively in that game. Minnesota found a way to drop points, from a very, very winnable position to Kansas City. So, yeah, just a little too unpredictable for me.
Minnesota also had that 2-2 draw where they were up against LA Galaxy, up 2-0, and then, ruined a 2-goal lead against Sporting KC. I do understand, but this season NYCFC 2-0 at home. They were 11-3-5 in 2024, and they were not a great team then. In comparison, Minnesota United 1-1-1 on the road. They were 8-4-7 last season, and their road results, including drawing Sporting KC and losing to LAFC. This will only be the third match NYCFC play at home. They've won each other match by a 2-1 scoreline, and I have to favor NYCFC here. Yankees baseball is back, which means pitcher mound's going to be at full height. The grass is going to be as despicable as ever. It's been raining here all week long. It has rained every single day in New York, New Jersey, and that's not going to stop tomorrow. There's going to be storms, and then they might not. I mean, they might rain through the whole match. It's somewhat of a weird season. It's going to rain 10 days in a row here, but it's going to be a mess. It's going to be gross. Who knows how to play in that? NYCFC. They can provoke chaos. They're plus 110 on the score line, on the money line. Sign me up for this bet. I think NYCFC has a huge advantage playing at home against an unpredictable Minnesota team. Well, you know what? The NYCFC has a very predictable defense. And they're going to be playing in the mud in a gross baseball stadium. Not a lot of good things there, but plus 110, I will take that. I always look up and down the sportsbook at the beginning of the week and see which home teams have plus odds. And when it's right at 100, it's like a coin toss. I'm always in favor of those. We know how NYCFC plays at home. Moving on here, match day 7. We have Quakes against DC United. Sometimes irrelevant teams play well and have good matches, and I think that's what Alex is hoping happens this week as the Quakes host DC United. DC United 1-3-2 with a -3 goal differential, while San Jose is 2-1-3 with an even goal differential. East Coast heads West Coast, and Alex has an official play. Alex's official play here is San Jose at plus 120. I love West Coast teams hosting East Coast teams. There's a little bit of travel, a little bit of jet lag. You know about that, Scott. That might happen when you lose a couple hours on an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I think West coming east is actually more difficult. But, I mean, DC United can't get out of their own way. They're drawing games that they should be winning. San Jose is a team that I think is heading up. I think they are playing better under Bruce Arena than they've played in the past. I could not get on board with Alex at San Jose plus 120. But does anyone else have any plays, picks, or thoughts?
Yeah, I think right now Christian Benteke is one of the players with the highest expected goal to actual goal differences. He is, I don't have the exact stat there in front of me, but he's generating a lot of expected goals right now, and the ball is just not going into the net for him. It's a change in that DC United team from what we saw last season, where you could count on them to score a goal or a couple goals in any given game. This year, I just don't have that confidence with them, and so I would have been looking at this with San Jose's offense for a high scoring total and over or something like that. But I just didn't feel confident about it, mostly because of that DC team. You kind of don't know what they're going to do. Is it going to be another 0-0 draw with Montreal? Yeah.
It might be. It might be for sure. You got Hernan Lopez still out with an injury for San Jose. Not a lot going on here, and we're just going to go right to the scorecard here. Alex, San Jose plus 130. That number's changed again 4 times since we've been on the show. So official, he's going to get that at plus 110. We'll have to adjust that a little bit later. Moving on, final match. Surprise, it's Inter Miami hosting Toronto. Surprise, it's prime time on a Sunday. It's like Inter Miami's only playing Sunday matches now. Best team in MLS is going to face the worst team in MLS. One team has Messi. The other team has a Messi Italian who's closing roster lock and finally making starts. I mean, what else is there to say about this? This is the shortest cap I've made all season long. Let's go to the odds. Inter Miami unplayable at -250. Toronto FC plus 600. That is the highest number I have ever seen on a pro soccer match in America. That's a big stipulation in America. Plus 600 draw, plus 360. Over under 2.5 goals, -172 to the over. And I think Miami has a good chance of hitting that on their own. Miami over under 1.5, plus -235 to the over, plus 180 to the under. Toronto plus 285 to the over, -400 to the under. Dion, I saw you shaking your head. I know you have a sports podcast. I know it is contractually required to talk about Inter Miami each and every week. What do you have going on here?
You know, that plus 600 looks pretty good. I think Toronto could do it. Insigne is going to come in. No, I'm kidding. I'm 100% kidding. Inter Miami could play a full second squad because I think Inter Miami has a good roster. Even their young guys, we've seen Segovia. He's doing work. Allende. I know that they're usually in the starting lineup, but I think Inter Miami could put a second lineup out there and beat Toronto. I think Toronto has no chance, especially with it being there in Miami. I think it's going to be like a 4-1. My prediction was a 4-1 victory for Miami in this one. So I didn't make a bet on this one, just really because it is Miami and all that, but nothing stood out to me. But your pick there does look good. I do like that.
Thank you. We're taking Miami and over 2.5 goals at -114. Unexciting. We're not getting great odds, but 2.5 goals has been hitting. Toronto's seeing 18 goals in 6 matches, averaging 3 per game. Only 2, a 2-0 loss to Cincinnati and a 0-0 draw with Vancouver, so less than 3 goals. Miami's right in line with the high goals total. They've seen 16 goals in 5 matches, just over 3 a game. Their only game under 3 goals was a 1-0 win over Charlotte, which drastically skewed their numbers, which would be even higher than they would be. Don't overthink this. Finish MLS Week 7 strong with a bet on Inter Miami. Over 2.5 goals at -114. Our official play cards are going to be changed a little bit, so you can check those online, find them anytime. Just going to finish... Yes, we know we do have to talk about Inter Miami. We know a lot of people are tired of hearing about it. That's all right. And as I'm saying, so we skipped over about half the games this weekend. Yes, we put a show doc together and we cover only the games that we have official picks on. Today we went over 9 of the 15 matches. If you want to catch some talk about every single one, you go to Dion's show. He's going to plug that right now and tell you, maybe not from the betting standpoint, but he does cover each and every match.
And that's at Nerdy Soccer Guy on YouTube. Connor is actually one of my subscribers there, so he already knows about it. But yeah, Nerdy Soccer Guy, and then also on all the different social medias, you can find me there too. With Nerdy Soccer Guy, no spaces, all one word.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you for checking in. Thank you, Scott, for being here from halfway across the world. Love the dedication here, bringing you guys some good picks. 6 profitable weeks in a row. Let's make it 7. Gentlemen, have a great night, and thank you guys at home for watching the Designated Pundits.